Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, my survival plan that will be executed as the Nibiru event becomes a reality. Plus, the UK government's nuclear bunker survival location revealed. Also, the signs appear in the heavens. A cross appears on the sun. And Zeta talk, more outstanding information that the Nibiru event is approaching as more land masses are sinking, signs the end times are near. As well as Egyptian records of a previous flyby of Nibiru, the planet of the crossing. This following report is an informer presentation titled How I Plan to Survive the Nibiru Events. For a long time now, I've been warning you all about the arrival of Nibiru and how this event will affect our lives, from seeing this massive planet closing in on Earth to the destruction this massive object will cause. This following report, which I believe is a true account of how this event will play out and how you should all plan and execute your survival plan. I will start by acting out this plan from the beginning. The morning this event unfolded was an ordinary day in my life. I got up out of bed and had a wash and got dressed. But that ordinary day I thought I was waking up to, then turned into a nightmare. I drew the curtains and saw a massive planet in the sky, a fiery red in colour. The blood drained from my head. Then I came to my senses and started to act on my survival plan. The first thing I did was to get hold of a van and loaded it up with my survival gear, food and water I've been collecting over the past months and years, camping gear, chemical toilet, sleeping bag, etc. I knew time was short and not on my side, and that I needed to head for high ground that had a cave where I could initially set up my survival camp. As I looked at the sky again, I saw this massive planet getting bigger, and this was starting to really affect the Earth. The wind was increasing, the earth below my feet was trembling, and the Earth's rotation was starting to slow down. I suspected in a matter of time the Earth's rotation would grind to a halt. The northern hemisphere would be in complete darkness for days, and the temperature would drop well below freezing, while the southern hemisphere would experience extreme heat as well as radiation. By this time, it was only a matter of time that we would experience a geological pole shift that would see the Earth flooded, as has occurred on many past flybys of Nibiru, such as the biblical flood. By now, the wind speed was increasing to well over 100 miles per hour, and I expected this to increase to over 300 miles per hour globally. I had now set up my camp in a cave I had previously selected. The area I chose for my survival was around 1,000 feet above sea level, as I knew most of the United Kingdom would sink below the flood water. The cities and towns became the graveyards for most of the citizens who inhabited them, that had no idea what was going on, as their government failed to inform them of this coming apocalyptic event. Our leaders had deserted their people and had relocated to their survival bunker that was hidden below Corsham, Wiltshire. By now, I was hiding out well inside my cave. The winds were now howling. It was pitch dark inside and outside the cave. I'd never seen such a powerful wind in my life. I knew this wind speed was now in excess of 300 miles per hour. My van had been carried away by this hurricane-force wind, and you could not see anything in front of you because of the whipping up of the earth by this powerful wind, as well as the volcanic dust that had been unleashed by nearly every volcano on the planet erupting. This I knew was just the beginning, and I had to stay calm and not panic. I also knew there would be desperate survivors about that would become a threat once the winds died down. But I was prepared. I had a very powerful crossbow, as well as hundreds of boats. I hoped I'd never have to use it, but logic told me I would have to survive. After 3 days of darkness, the Earth's rotation started slowly moving again as the effect of Nibiru started to reduce as it headed away out of our solar system. The wind speed was reducing, and in time the flood water would start to decrease. The temperature was still well below zero and would stay like that for many months, if not years, as the volcanic dust in the atmosphere was blocking out the sun. But by now it was time to come out from my cave and erect my tent. I would use the cave for food and water storage, as well as other survival gear that I wanted to remain out of sight from human predators. At this point I decided to explore the new Earth, which looks very different from the old one. I decided to head for the highest point of land, and as I looked down over the landscape below, I saw much of it was flooded. There was no sign of life. I knew billions had perished in this country as well as other countries around the planet. I was one of the lucky ones, but times would be very hard. I only had enough food and water to last a few months. So my priority was to find another source of food, maybe fish or other wildlife that could have headed to high ground to survive. I did have survival books on wild plants that are edible, and I knew I could boil water from the floodplains to replenish clean drinking water. I had my crossbow to kill animals for food. I also had a generator, but limited amounts of fuel, so I'd only have to use it sparingly, maybe to power up a radio to hear if any other survivors were transmitting and how many of them had survived this horrific event. After many months, the sun started to shine again. The United Kingdom, what had not gone under the flood water, was now a tropical paradise and relocated near the new equator. I did eventually meet other survivors. This was an account of what I believe will occur in the near future. My advice to you all is to prepare for this coming Nibiru event. Don't be one of the billions who will perish in this coming event. The Informer. This next report originates from atlasobscura.com, titled Wiltshire Secret Underground City, the Burlington Nuclear Bunker. In disaster movies, when the asteroid is hurtling towards Earth or the supervolcano is about to blow, there is always a top secret location where the president, government officials and top scientists are whisked away to, only big enough to support the most important humans. It is usually some sort of mountain, cave or subterranean bunker made to support a few thousand folks for long enough for the radiation, dust, fire to clear. In England it just happens that the location is real and located under a charming sleepy market town known as Corsham, Wiltshire. 100 feet below the manors, churches and cobblestone streets is a 35-acre subterranean co-war city. The reason this particular location was chosen for the bunker was its already extensive system of limestone caves running under the city. Built in the late 1950s, this bomb-proof, radiation-proof, poison gas-proof underground city was designed to house up to 4,000 central government personnel in the event of a nuclear strike. Not simply a bunker, this massive complex is over a mile in length and featured 60 miles of roads. It was designed to be fully self-sufficient and sustain its 4,000 occupants for at least 3 months in complete isolation from the outside world. The Burlington Nuclear Bunker, or just Burlington as it was code-named, contained among other facilities, offices, laundry, laundries, storage rooms of supplies, a hospital, cafeterias, kitchens, a phone exchange, the second largest in Britain, a television studio where the remaining governments could make public addresses. To view the full transcript, go to my website endtimes23.com, where I've posted the link. You can find the live link to my website near the end of this video. This following report originates from beforeitsnews.com and YouTube channel BP Earthwatch, titled "Mind-Blowing Cross Appears in Space. Could this be a sign in the heavens?" And this was posted on Thursday, June the 5th, 2014. This is one of the most amazing, unique videos I have ever seen. A cross appears in the solar flare of the sun. God tells us in the latter days we will see signs in the heavens. Could this be a sign of things to come? "And I will shew wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapour of smoke." Acts 2:19. "And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven." Luke 21:11. This final report originates from Zetatalk.com, the Zetatalk newsletter, issue 394, and this was posted on Sunday, April the 20th, 2014, titled "India Steadily Sinks." The Zeta prediction for the sequence 7 of 10 plate movements has the sinking of the plate holding India at the start of the order and continuing to incite plate movements around the world as the break in the plates that caused all others to follow in a domino fashion when the break is released. This is an iterative process. Zetatalk prediction, the 16th of the 10th, 2010. The sequence of events is thus a tipping Indo-Australian plate with Indonesia sinking, a folding Pacific, allowing South America to roll. Sinking is continually occurring on the India portion of the Indo-Australian plate, which is being shoved under the Himalayas. The Indus Valley in Pakistan lies on the border of this plate and has had steady incursions of seawater, as this pole shifting blog details, and prior newsletter describing the Pakistan Mud Island in October 2013 and the loss of 10 feet in elevation in 2011, as predicted by the Zetas for the start of the 7 of 10 sequences. Zetatalk prediction 2010, the western edge of India, where the Indus River region in Pakistan is sinking, will likewise not experience that much loss of elevation, commensurate with the eastern edge of India, perhaps a 10-foot drop. Then on the other side of India, in that portion of India above Bangladesh, a mid-river island in Assam is crumbling, as this pole shifting blog details. And finally the Maldives Islands to the southwest of India and sharing the plate with India are losing elevation and sinking into the sea, as this pole shifting blog details. Thus India, left, right and bottom, is showing evidence of sinking. Egyptian records. The record of the last passage during the time of the Jewish Exodus is best recorded by the Egyptians in the Kolbrin, a written text that includes the Egyptian report. The Exodus is also recorded in the book of Exodus in the Bible, and by Ipua, an Egyptian witness, recorded his observations on a papyrus in his book Ages in Chaos. Velikovsky compares the book of Exodus to Ipua's account. They closely correlate. Papyrus 256. Plague is throughout the land, blood is everywhere. 210. The river is blood. Exodus 7:21. There was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. 720. All the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. Papyrus 210. Men shrink from tasting the thirst after water. Exodus 7:24. And all the Egyptians digged around about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. 2:8. Forsooth the land turns around as does a potter's wheel. 2:11. The towns are destroyed. 7:4. The residence is destroyed in a minute. Papyrus 2:10. Forsooth gates, columns and walls are consumed by fire. Exodus 9:23. The fire ran along the ground. There was hail and fire mingled with the hail. Papyrus 4:14. Trees are destroyed. 6:1. No fruit or herbs are found. Exodus 9:25. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Papyrus 4:3. Forsooth the children of princes are dashed against the walls. Exodus 12:27. The angel of the Lord smote the Egyptians. Papyrus 9:11. The land is not light. Exodus 10:22. And there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt, beyond the clear references to red dust turning the water and blood red. Impurus. Papyrus describes social disorder and confusion, which per the Zetas is what allowed the Jewish slaves to escape, quoting again from Velikovsky's book Ages in Chaos. Papyrus 6:9. Forsooth the laws of the judgment hall are cast forth, men walk upon them in the public places. 6:7. Forsooth public offices are open, and their census lists are taken away. 10:3. The storehouse of the king is the common property of everyone. 10:3-6. Lower Egypt weeps. The entire palace is without its revenues. To it belong by right wheat, barley, cheese, and fish. 14:11. There are none found to stand and protect themselves. Papyrus. Behold, noble ladies go hungry. Behold, he who slept without a wife, though once find precious things. He who passed the night in squalor raised his head. She who looks at her face in the water is possessor of a mirror. Behold, no craftsman work. A man strikes his brother, the son of his mother. Men sit behind bushes until the benighted traveller comes in order to plunder his burden. Behold, one who uses violence against another. If 3 men journey upon a road, they are found to be 2 men. The greater number slayeth the less. The land is as a weed that destroyed men. Compare this to the report in the Culbrin, describing this same destruction in the social order. Again, they closely correlate. When it passed, men rose up against those in authority and fled from the cities to swell in tents in the outlands. Egypt lacks great men to deal with the times. The slaves left. Their multitude moved in the gloom of a half-dawn, under a mantle of fine swirling grey ash. The night was a night of fear and dread, for there was a high moaning above, and fire sprang up from the ground. A strange people came up against Egypt, and none stood to fight, for strength and courage were gone. The invaders came up because of the wrath of heaven, which had laid their land waste. They enslaved all who were left, the old, the young men, and boys. They oppressed the people, and their delight was in mutilation and torture. Pharaoh abandoned his hopes and fled into the wilderness. He lived a goodly life among the sand wanderers and wrote books. Good times came again under the invaders, and ships sailed upstream. the air was purified, and the land became filled again with growing things. Per the Zetas, these actions most likely will not develop until the last weeks, or when people see that life as they know it cannot and will not continue. To view the full transcript, go to my website, endtimes23.com, where I've posted the link. You can find a live link to my website near the end of this video. Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to Endtimes23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. If you'd like to drop me a line on my blog, by all means do so, or if you'd like to join one of my circles on Google+, all the links are under this video. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. There's a live link near the end of this video. Well, that's your lot for this week, my friends. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you in a week's time with another edition of Informer News. So until then, this is your Informer signing off, friends. I'll see you on the flip side. From the beginning. The morning this event unfolded was an ordinary day in my life. I got up out of bed and had a wash and got dressed. But that ordinary day I thought I was waking up to, then turned into a nightmare. I drew the curtains and saw a massive planet in the sky, a fiery red in colour. The blood drained from my head. Then I came to my Welcome along, my Nibiru event is approaching as more land masses are sinking, signs the end times are near, as well as Egyptian records of a previous flyby of Nibiru, the planet of the crossing. This following report is an informer presentation titled How I Plan to Survive the Nibiru Events. For a long time now, I've been warning you all about the arrival of Nibiru and how this event will affect our lives, from seeing this massive planet closing in on Earth to the destruction this massive object will cause. This following report, which I believe is a true account of how this event will play out and how you should all plan and execute your survival plan. I will start by acting out this plan, friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, my survival plan that will be executed as the Nibiru event becomes a reality. Plus, the UK government's nuclear bunker survival location revealed. Also, the signs appear in the heavens. A cross appears on the sun. And Zeta talk, more outstanding information that the